Once again, Goofy Boy. Goofy Boy. At it once again. Hold on, y'all. Hold on. Let me get it. Okay. We good. We good. No, it wasn't. Once again, it wasn't y'all. It's me. It's not you. It's me. It's not you. It's me. It's me. It's me. It's me. Always, always. So we gonna. Y'all know how we do. Since I messed up, I'm gonna fix up. I'll get there. Okay. Better. Better. No, Better. Okay. So this is how it go. All right, rewind everything. Yeah, 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 yeah. What? Yo, you know. Let's get it right. Yeah, we gonna come through today, not tonight. Everything is gonna work out fine. You'll see. Yeah, this is between you and me. Yeah, Saturday, baby. Yo, shout out to all the mothers. Tomorrow's your day. Some of y'all getting out today. Thanks for putting in that pain, all that work. Yeah. Son 7, baby. Urban therapy with son. Yo, yo. Yeah. But T Carey right. Stacy White, baby. Dimples D's. What's up? Hey Mickey. Thanks for coming through, y'all. Urban Therapy with Sun 752, and this is the Urban Therapy with Sun show. We do this every single Saturday from 1 p.m. till around 2:30-ish. And the reason that we say 2:30-ish is because sometimes it gets so heated that we just have to do a little OT on a Saturday. And it is Saturday. This is the show where adults come out and play with other adults. We laugh, we cry, we argue, fuss and fight, go back and forth with each other, bust it up all crazy. We take an introspective look into our own personality to see the way that the universe projects us into this thing called the world and try to figure out this thing called life. I'm your host, Son 752, aka Omar with the and if you can't say Omar with the well, then you just say Omar with the R. This is the Urban Therapy with Son show. I'm feeling like a real man should, and I hope y'all feeling like real men and women should. Also, today we're talking about my mom or my dad never remarried. What do y'all know about your mom or your dad passing and your parents deciding never to get married again? Now, there are a couple of layers to this story because, you know, a lot of people believe that marriage is from death, is till death do us part. That's part of your vows, right? But the thing is, what happens when there is an actual death and now y'all have parted? Do you stop your life for the rest of your life in honor of your fallen spouse and decide never to get married again? Now, you know, anybody who has ever lost a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a spouse knows how devastating it is to be in love with somebody or to be in a loving situation with somebody and to have them pass away from you. It's terrible. It can cause an insurmountable amount of stress, and it can, you know, just really leave you wondering if you should ever try again. For some people, now some people are the marrying type. Some people are the marrying type, and they jump right back in the dating pool, and they'll tell people straight up and down, listen, I want to get married. So if you're not dealing with, if you're not headed towards marriage at this stage in your life, then don't even talk to me because I'm heading towards that. Not saying that we have to get married tomorrow, but if we're going to go forward, just know that we're going forward with the hopes of the result of joining each other in holy matrimony. We're going to make these Legos click together. So that's what you're getting when you mess with me. I've heard women say it, you know, and they mean it. And then there are other people that may feel like they need a breather. Like, you know, when you have taken a long illness ride with somebody, it's draining, y'all. You know how it is. It's draining. And that's whether it's a spouse or family member or a friend or any loved one. You know, dealing with somebody who has had health issues for years and years and years, going through the ups and downs of them getting better, getting worse, getting better, getting worse, in and out of the hospital, in and out emergency trips and things like that. Really putting strong limitations on what you can do in your life, having really big impacts on your freedom of movement, freedom of mobility, freedom of just being able to make certain choices that healthy people make. So when it all comes down, logically, you would think that once you lose a loved one, or in this case, a spouse, you would think that you would be prepared, but you're never really prepared for somebody that you love to close those eyes for the last time. Because even though you may want them to finally be relieved of the pain that they've been in for all of that time, you selfishly want them to still be here and have another chance. So when we talk about my mom or my dad never remarried, you get to know your parents in a different way when one of your parents passes away. Many people go to take care of their single parent once their mom or their dad passes away. And sometimes it's not your mom or your dad that we're talking about. Like, you can be in a situation where it was your stepfather, when maybe your mom and your dad never got married or were never married in your lifetime, but they did marry other people, and maybe they were happy and started a life with that other person or whatever. And you still care about you may have grown to love your step parent or whatever. I know I did. And seeing your parents, or seeing your parents happy with each other, striving, driving, doing for each other, helping each other out, pushing each other along, motivating each other, taking care of each other. when you see the end of that, it's going to have an impact on you too, because you know that it's having a devastating impact on them. So you may fully understand why they chose never to date again. And some spouses choose never to date because of that. Because of that, because of blending families and stuff like that. When you're in a young marriage, when you're a younger person, you know how it go. You don't expect to lose a spouse, no time soon. But with all of this, with all of these big differences in age groups, when people get married today, like, what do you really expect? What do you really expect? Look at these celebrities now. Look at Al Pacino. Look at Robert De Niro. As old as they are and as young as their spouses are. I mean, how far you expect to go? You had a child at 82, 83, some old crazy stuff like that. Well, that's what we're talking about today on the Urban Therapy with Sun show, man. I hope we can get this party started, get this conversation on. What up, Passport Pookie? Tell the history of this drum. I can hear my ancestors through this. Oh, really? Well, that's what's up. I don't know if my ancestors have compelled me to do it. I didn't grow up playing no drums. I didn't pick up a drum until I started doing this show. So my drumming history is about, I don't know, I've been doing this show for double-digit years, but I didn't start drumming on the show until I started coming on video. We used to do audio, like on a talk radio type of platform. And we started coming on video consistently around 2016, 2017. But anyway, so this is what it is. And I started drumming maybe around 2018. But I was just beating on the tables. Now, if you count beating on the tables, I've been drumming since I was a kid. You know what I mean? Hip hop baby. Hip hop baby. Mars, what's good? Says you make me think about the brothers that lost their wives. Shame on me, I haven't checked on. Yeah, man, definitely. Good looking out, man. Check on your peoples. The ones that have lost their spouses or anybody. The way we all handle death is different. It's different. You know how it go. You may handle death, and maybe because of your understanding of it or your spiritual nature, you understand that maybe they went to a better place. They're free of pain. We're still left here to take care of business, deal with the stress, the pain, the hardships, the financial woes, the struggles, the personal, the social, the financial, the physical, the mental, the emotional. We're still here to deal with that. So you may look at somebody who has passed on as if they're free. They're free. They have shed this physical form. Can't nothing hurt them no more. You may be able to decompress it and process it that way. Meanwhile, somebody else, regardless of how old they are, so I've known people who cannot handle death. It doesn't matter whether they are a child, a teenager, an adult, a senior. Some people do not deal with death well. And so losing a spouse through death can send them into a negative spiral for months, years, or like we said, choosing never to marry again. Now, some people who have lost spouses not only not ever marry again, but some never date again. And we need to talk about that. Some of y'all got a mom or a grandmom, a nana, a mom, a big mama. She ain't, after granddaddy died, or Mr. You know how that go, Mr. Dave, Mr. Frank, Mr. Rick, whoever she was with, that was the love of her life. After they passed, shut it down. Shut it down. My grandmama wasn't about that life. My grandmama, she kept a boy. She was always talking about some boyfriend. She died at 81 years old, and she was always talking about my boyfriend, blah, blah, blah. She never stopped dating. My grandmama was like Nola Darling. She had to have it. And she wasn't shy about it either. Like, shit. She told my mom, you know, when my stepdad, you know, he smoked and drank all his life. So, you know, the D. So sexually, he had passed away long before he physically passed away in 2010. My grandmama used to tell my mom, like, shit, ain't no man gonna lay with me every night and not give me none. He gonna do something. That was my grandmother. But my mom has never dated again since my stepdad died, 2010. My mom is now 84. She's never dated again, never expressed a date. You know, she talked about it like, you know, like, being in her 70s, like what is dating? It would be different if she already had somebody on the side just waiting to jump in. But she was like, she shut it down. So I don't know how long it had been since she was physical with a man, but ain't nobody come in that crib. You know, and it ain't had nothing to do with us. I always wanted my mom to be happy. So, but she chose never to remarry, never to date again. Now, never marrying again is one thing. Never dating, I'm like, damn. You know, we don't always think about it, the psychological effect that may be experienced by somebody who has decided that they don't want to date no more. If I can't have you, I don't want nobody, baby. If I can't have you, oh. If I can't have you, I don't want nobody, baby. If I can't have you, oh. All right. So that's what we talking about today, y'all. That's what we talking about today. Let me see. Shirley Cheryl, the world's most precious and greatest pearl in the world. Shirley Cheryl, the world's most precious and greatest pearl in the world. What's going on? My good to see me some you. You already know. Hey, y'all, can y'all do me one little solid? I ain't gonna ask y'all for a whole lot. Can y'all just do me one little solid? Can you please hit the like button? Hit the like button, share the show, subscribe to the channel. Maybe you don't want to subscribe to the channel. I think it's a good idea. Maybe even become a member. But at least hit the like button. Hit the like button. Hit the like button. Yo, it helps the channel. Hit the like button. You all of a sudden hit the like button. Out of nowhere. Hit the like button. Let's run it up. Let's go. Hit the like button. Please and thank you. Please and thank you. Stacey White says, my mother was not about that life either. She always had somebody. Hey, I ain't mad at it. I ain't mad at it at all. Cheryl Halsey was good. Was good. We got Cheryl and Cheryl. It's Cheryl on Cheryl crime. What's good? Good to see y'all both. Stacey said, I did not get that trait from my mother. Yeah, that's not one of those things that I've seen repeated. It's really not. It's not one of those things that I've seen sort of like, you know, like maybe your dad, your grandfather, your dad, your uncles were cops and you could become a cop. When it comes to this, you know, dating thing or get married again thing, divorce or whatever, because we probably have to have that discussion about divorce too. Some people decide never to get married after they get divorced. Like, I'm one and done. That did it. We can have a talk about that. We're gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about it. Get into it and get involved. These puzzle pieces right now, we gonna solve, y'all. Okay. But yeah, my mom and my dad never remarried. They never remarried. You know, as a son or a daughter, like those of y'all who know what I'm talking about when it comes to this, what do y'all think about that? What do y'all think? If you have had an experience where your mom or your dad never, and now a lot of people think it's only mothers who never get it popping again, but a lot of men have really really loved their wives, and you got to think a lot of men are very dependent on their wives, very dependent. So when their wives may have fell ill, it may have been a really big adjustment for them. Like if they was used to their wives doing all the domestic duties around the house, the cooking, the cleaning, the running errands, the shopping, ironing, whatever it is. If that's what your wife used to do and she's unable to do it, and so you step into that role and you have vowed to take care of your wife and help her to get better, help her to get back on her feet, and you did the best that you could, but you just couldn't nurse her back to health. The doctors couldn't do it. You couldn't do it either, you know. But that's devastating to some men. Very, very devastating. You know what I mean? It fucks some men up. I had a friend of mine, his wife died, and he wasn't even a sick man. A year later, he passed. Like what? Now, many people say he died of a broken heart. What do y'all think about that? A death causing a broken heart. We all gotta go. We all gotta go. Can none of us stay here? We all have a time of arrival and a time of departure, and we don't get to determine either one. So why is death so devastating to some people? Now, if y'all notice, if y'all listen to other shows, you don't hear them say the word death or dying or whatever. Like if they going to bang me for saying words that are actual words dealing with actual facts of actual human experience, well then fuck it. But I'm not going to be on here saying words like unalive. I'm not doing that. Not going to say that. Not going to say none of that dumb shit. Excuse me for my passion. There's just some things I just don't think are necessary. Miko! MKO, what's good? Good to see y'all. Good to see y'all. Oh, let me see. Mars says, I can't get mom and dad in the same building. Well, hey, feel blessed that you have a building and a mom and a dad to try to get them inside of at the same time. You know what I mean? Listen, man, I enjoyed having my parents alive for 51 years. 51 years. My parents were not together at the time of my dad's passing. They had broken up, back in the early 80s. 81, that's when they separated. 82 is when they got divorced or some shit like that. And but they had both remarried. But you got to consider that both of them were young. My dad was in his 40s. My mom in 81, was she 40 yet? She might have been like maybe 40 or 41. So, but she was young and spry. He was middle-aged and spry. You know what I mean? Like, so they were definitely going to find another way to love, because the love wasn't there. That wasn't a good marriage. It was a working marriage, but it wasn't a good one. Good looking out, Miko. Hopefully y'all having a good day in health. Word. Can't ask for much more than that. Well, you can't ask for better than that. Because if you can get health in the building, if you can get health, you can do anything you want. When your health is failing, when your health is messed up, shoot, I don't care if you got a really bad paper cut. That thing is going to restrict you. It's going to restrict you, man. You know, you mess up your hands, man. You literally can't grasp onto things. But yeah, man. So we got the poll up. What we got? We got 13 votes. All right. Take a small look at it. See which direction is going through right now. If your spouse passed away after you were 60 years old, would you date or get married again? Okay. Now, so far, out of 13 votes, 46% say yes if I met someone special. And you know what? I'm glad to hear that. Because a lot of people, especially when you're younger, they think that 60 is old. Like, well, what are you dating after 64? It's over. Can't have no kids. Can't do this. Can't do that. People be disrespecting the elderly, boy. They be disrespecting the elderly like they don't deserve to be they don't deserve to be happy. They don't deserve to be bonded. They don't deserve. There's a lot that goes into the decision to get married. There's a lot. It's more than, for a lot of people, it's more than just having a spouse. We're talking about what could be a spiritual connection and the transferring of your estate. A lot of people don't want to die unmarried because they have things to leave behind. And they want to make sure that the city, the state, don't get their grubby little hands on it. Because they'll do it. If you don't have anybody, if you don't have any dependents or beneficiaries, yo, and even though I'm mainly saying this to myself, yo, man, get them insurance policies together, man. And a lot of people don't like to think about insurance policies, especially if you watch the ID channel a lot like me. Like, oh yeah, as soon as I get this big insurance policy, my wife gonna knock me off. You know what I'm saying? She's gonna start poisoning my food, son. I'm sick and I can't get well. She feed me the poison through all of the things I love. She gave me a rat food cheesesteak, a arsenic cheesesteak. That shit was good. I'm so tired. I can't do it. Yeah, let's go out and have a rat pasta, chicken Caesar, rat poison salad. Chicken Caesar rat poison salad. Yeah, man. We got to do better out here, son. We got to do better out here. We got to do better out here. Okay, so 46% says yes if I met someone special. 23% says no, why get married again? 15% say I would date but not marry. Okay. And 15% says I believe in marriage, period. Like, I'm not going, you ain't put, hey, yo, somebody gonna marry me. I don't care if they do it on their deathbed. Fuck out of here. You gonna marry me. It could be an ex, it could be a current, but they will not put me in the ground and in my obituary just say my special friend. You ain't gonna put me in the special friend zone. Nobody ain't gonna special friend me. You ain't gonna special friend me. I ain't gonna special friend you. Got my special friend, baby. Got my special friend, baby. What's up, y'all? Well, all right. So grandmama never got remarried. And you know what the weirdest thing about that whole thing, when you see somebody's grandmom, somebody elderly, they never dated again, they never got married, they never seem to complain about that shit. You know, it's like they just accepted their fate.
You have a call from
Caller.
Hey,
Caller with the last number is 1132. Welcome to the Urban Therapy with Sun Show. Appreciate you calling in. What's on your mind this afternoon? What's good?
happy weekend.
Happy weekend to you. Happy Saturday. It's great.
Oh, happy Saturday.
So,
I'm just calling in. I would never, after my spouse died, I probably would never marry again, and I probably would never date again. And the reason why I say that, because my heart had to heal, first of all. Second of all, you're not going to be under the same covenant as your first husband. Who wants to go through all those rules again? I know I don't. I want to be free. I will continue to serve the Lord and let Him heal my heart.
wait, can you explain can you explain the whole covenant thing?
The covenant is between you and your partner. You know, y'all have your ways and have your rules on what not to submission between each other. But it's like learning somebody all over again.
Wait, so your first covenant, wait. I don't mean to interrupt you. I just want to make sure that we have some clarity. So,
Okay.
does the first covenant hold more weight than, I don't know, future covenants?
In my eyes, yes, I think so. And with me as a woman, and by the way, this is Stacey, and I'm just putting it out there. I do not want to marry a man that's been married been married 2 or 3 times. I would like a husband that's never been married, because I ain't going to their first wife. The second and third wife don't get nothing.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So you saying you talking about his like Social Security, pension, and all of that kind of stuff? No.
It could be that, and just the second, just don't, you don't get nothing, and I'm like, I'm taking care of my husband, and, all these other people could come through and do whatever they need to do. I just want my husband, I want to get married to one husband, and I just want to be done with one husband. That's just me, and I want to, and see, when I get married, I know I'm going to submit, but he's going to have to submit too. That scripture is not one way.
Okay.
And I just don't believe in putting myself out there again if I get divorced or whatnot, because my heart is broken. My heart is broken right now, but I'm not married, so it's a difference.
Okay. So why is your heart broken right now?
I've been through some stuff.
Okay.
I have been through some stuff that soon God healed it. The Band-Aid get torn off of it again. And I'm trying not, what the enemy is trying to do is make me bitter.
Wait a minute, hold on a second.
You have a call from
Okay, go ahead.
Trying to make me bitter and trying to make me angry at men, and because I've been set around women that is bitter and angry around me, and sometimes I have to walk along because I don't want that poison in my spirit. I want to continue to remain soft and not real. I have been through some stuff, so some harsh stuff that I didn't think was fair.
Okay. So have you ever lost a boyfriend? Like, have you ever been going with somebody who passed away?
He ain't passed away, but it's like I feel like I'm walking in a dream right now. And this is the reason why I say I would never date, because they can always change your mind about marriage, and you end up getting married again when you was fixed on saying no, you didn't want to do it again. The guy here, I lost him. It went to death, but to me it seems like a death and a spiritual death.
Okay. So in your whole life, have you ever dated anybody who is no longer here?
Oh no. Thank God. No.
Wow. That's nice.
Yeah.
That's not an easy. A lot of people can't say that. It's hard to make it to 50 and and everybody that you have ever dated or messed around with is still here. I definitely can't say that. I think
Oh my goodness.
I may have lost a couple.
I
It
think
wasn't.
still here, as
It,
far as I know. Yeah, they're still here. And I haven't, like I said, I haven't dated that much, or but
still,
yeah.
you gotta think 50 years is a long time, and things happen. Life happens. Shit.
Well, I have written some of the ones that I did. I don't when I went God holds the pen. I kind of like wrote them out of my life. It was like we never dated. Some of them, they still they don't want to make me who I am today. But some, not so.
Okay. I mean, I hear you. I hear you.
Yeah. I wish the doors was never open, but I'm glad that God did have them doors clamped a little bit, because I didn't get touched by having a baby, and I didn't get married. So maybe he did have those doors kind of like, locked.
Okay. Hold on a second. Caller with the last number is 8658. Welcome to the Urban Therapy with Sun show. What's on your mind this afternoon?
Hey, first of all, I want to say Happy Mother's Day early to all the mommies out there.
Word.
That's number one. Number two, I want you to treat mommy real good this year, like you always do. Okay? And I answered the poll. And my response to the poll was, hell no. The reason I say that, I'm over 30 years in. If something happens to mine, I ain't got time for another man to get used to his ways, him trying to get used to my ways. It's going to be head-butting every day.
Okay.
Now, you can date. You can take me to nice places to eat. You can take me shopping, my favorite pastime. But all of that other stuff, no.
Okay, so you would continue to date if somebody was decent,
Yeah.
but you just wouldn't marry him.
If they were worthy of dating.
Now, what?
Not just a date.
Okay, of course, but what I'm saying is, suppose that person was like, well, look, we've been going out. I like you. I think you love me. I mean, like me, whatever. I mean, why not? Like you planning on playing the field for the rest of your life?
I want to be free.
but are you sure that's what you would want?
It is, honestly. I've always said that. All jokes aside, if something happened to my husband, God forbid, I'm not going to find another man like mine.
Okay.
You can look it. And that's where I get that from.
Okay. So
there's a difference.
All right. How many times?
Now, if he was a bum, if he was a bum, I might go searching for my knight in shining armor. But since I got him, I don't feel like it's another one that's going to treat me as well as he's at.
Okay. All right. But how many times have you been married?
Twice.
Okay.
And the only reason I got married the second time was because I thought I was younger, and I thought I don't want to grow old and be by myself.
It's a valid reason.
My dad, and my dad said to me, "There's somebody out here for you."
Mm-hmm.
And my mom's sister said to me, "Girl, going out there, get married again." She said, because this time you're older, you know what you want.
Okay.
A lot of people get married for lust. They're not in love.
I mean, the reasons that people get married these days, lust, money, all kinds of clout, all kinds of reasons. Yeah. But that's why I'm talking about. When I say that my mom and my dad never remarried, that's why I was focusing more on that side, because we know that young people out here, or younger people, or confused middle-aged people, whatever, we know that sometimes they might be out here looking for something less than concrete. But when you start thinking about your parents, even when you were as young as like 30 years old, let's say if your parents were 20 years older than you or more, you know, they're in a different stage of life than you could relate to at that time. So as you're watching them, you may be, you know, concerned about their mortality, their health, their happiness as they grow older. And you know, you may be, you know, trying to make sure that they get the things that they want in their lives. You know what I mean? So when you see your parents devastated because one of your parents passed away or whatever, and they may really be struggling to process it, struggling to go on with the day to day. You know how death affects some people way worse than others. So
Yes.
when you see somebody, I don't know, it could be me, but whenever I see somebody that doesn't want to date again, that doesn't want to try again, I associate companionship with happiness. I associate love with happiness. I associate cohabitation, whatever. If you're with somebody, I associate with that with happiness, or at least wanting to be in the pursuit of it. So it's normal to me for a child to want their parent to have to be able to still experience some of the good things in life. And when you see that their life when you see that one of your parents has basically gotten in the coffin with the other parent, even though they're still alive, you know what I mean? It's concerning.
Now, the man that raised me is not my biological father. He's my father's brother. My father died when I was a toddler, okay?
Mm-hmm.
He had a wife. His wife was basically an invalid. After some period of time after their marriage, she became an invalid. And I watched my pop take care of her. I learned to take care of her, you know, as a kid growing up. The day she died, until he died at the age of 86, he never married again. He did have a woman, a lady friend, you know, and for years, he wouldn't even live with her.
I like that word, lady friend. That's a, you know, my lady. That's a cool word. Yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, and eventually they did move in together. She had her house, he had his house. I guess he figured, hey, I ain't got to go nowhere, you know. And plus, he had me there, and my pop was real protective of me, as daddies are about their girls.
Yeah.
Okay? But even, you know, even after his wife died, he never wanted to marry. And I think his lady friend, her husband may have died too. And I don't think either one of them wanted it. They were content with the way that it was. You know, there's an old saying, don't rock the boat. Okay? And evidently it worked for them. You know, me, I married, the first marriage was a big mistake. The only thing good came out of that marriage was my 2 children. Okay? My father begged me not to marry him. I was headstrong.
By my math, 2 children is more than one good thing.
How do you figure that?
Because you had the first good thing, was your son, and then you had the second good thing, which was your daughter.
Well, roles reversed. But yeah, out of that first marriage, that's what I had. 2 good things that came out of it, my children.
Oh, I thought you said one good thing, and that was your 2 children.
See, you're not listening. But again, going back to me personally,
yeah,
I don't want to do this a third time.
Yeah, I understand.
The first time was a lesson. It was a painful lesson, but I learned. I knew that the second time, when I was dating my present husband, he was a good dude. And I saw how he treated his mother and how he treated his sisters. That stuck with me. Because a man that can't respect his mother or his sisters is not somebody I feel as a woman you want to marry.
Yeah, I understand that. I do. But I want to ask y'all a question, and I want y'all to think about this for a minute, because even though you may not see the association in it, I do, and both of them deal with a life-changing situation. You know how some people have lost their children at a young age. You know what I mean? And they may have lost their children at a time when they were still of childbearing age. You know, like, let's say, unfortunately, maybe you had a child, and the unfortunate part is maybe you lost your child while you were still maybe in your young 30s or whatever. You know, you still had enough good biological eggs to go ahead and try again. And some people have decided, no, I'm not having any more children. And it could be because of the pain of losing a child so young, and definitely before you, messing up the cycle of life. You know, it can be so devastating to people that, just like you said, starting all over again. They looking at it the same way. Like, I can't start all over again with another child. I can't deal with that pain. You know what I mean? There's still no guarantee that they're gonna be here, whatever. And I always think about this when I think about people who have autistic or retarded, special needs children.
You're not using the R word.
Well, the reason that I use the R word is because I was told by a psychologist that it is the proper word. Now, we have made it socially improper, but I understand. I'm gonna respect what you're saying too. So let's say special needs. If a child is special needs to the point where they're going to need a lifetime of care, sometimes children who are that way are very unhealthy. Like, I knew a friend of our family's. She had a special needs. He was really, really bad with cerebral palsy. And when he was about 12 or 13 years old, he died. And it fucked her up bad. You know what I mean? It fucked her up bad. She was still young enough to have another child, but it was like, hell no. Hell no,
I have a girlfriend who her son was a victim of violence. I'll put it that way.
Okay. Yeah. I good way to put it.
It devastated her.
Mm-hmm.
And we were like in our, I think we might have been about 30 because we're about the same age.
Okay.
And I saw the pain in that woman. And I saw how she secluded herself from everybody. Family, close friends, and she and I were like, the relationship was like I was her sister. And I couldn't get through to her. And she always said she would never have another child because she couldn't bear the thought. Not the actual thing, but the thought of losing another child.
Mm-hmm.
Be it if the child had gotten sick. And I respected her for that.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people didn't understand it. But I felt her. As a mother, I felt that deep.
Yeah.
Because that's something you never ever get over.
Facts.
And there was a point where we honestly thought that this girl was going to lose her mind. She was doing things that were so out of her character.
Yeah.
Her brothers, they didn't know where she was one day. And they searched the city. They couldn't find her anywhere. They're driving around looking for her. And she is in the street, in the middle of a street, just screaming to the top of her lungs. It took her two brothers to get her in that car. She needed therapy, but she refused to do therapy for the longest. Now, once she got the therapy, she was okay. But she's still not the person she used to be. So I can understand a woman saying, I'm not going to have another child, because it's hard.
Yeah.
The thought of me losing one of mine, as big a pain in my butt that they can be at times, I couldn't handle it.
Well,
For one thing, as a man, I don't think men, and I'm not saying this to be derogatory, there's a special connection between a mother and a child, because that child you carry.
yeah, I mean, yeah, ain't no denying that.
You know, but I'm just saying, for anybody listening, I'm not browbeating a dad.
I mean, the children literally feed off of you.
You have a special place too.
Mm-hmm.
But it's hard to separate, I think, for a woman that I carried this baby for 9 months. What you go through to deliver this baby.
Mm-hmm.
And their formative years from the time they're born until they start walking, they start talking. You're sending them off to school. I cried the first day my kid went to school. They didn't cry. I cried. You know, but it's a special bond with a mother and a child.
Yeah.
And it's a bond that cannot be broken, and except for in death.
I mean, you even see it in the animals. You know what I mean? The mother the mother of all animals, they be protecting them babies from the fathers. Like, back up off them.
Exactly.
Back up off them. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You know,
exactly. You can look at an animal and know.
Mama bear is very protective. Yeah.
Listen here. They are protective.
I don't mean to cut you off, but I just wanted to tell both that me being like I am and experience the things I experienced. I never been married. I never had no children. I always helped raise children, but I never had no children.
Mm-hmm.
I know the difference between joy and happiness. I know that another man can make a woman happy, but God had gave me the most greatest experience of just me being happy without having a man. And I never experienced happiness before without something attached, like something new or just to be happy. And that's the best feeling. You could be happy without being attached to somebody if you pray about it. And that's the best feeling in the world.
Okay.
Because when you with somebody, you know, it can kind of like dull down or be taken away or whatever. But when God gives you happiness, I'm not talking about joy. I'm talking about happiness.
Isn't
pure happiness.
Joy isn't better than happiness?
No, not in my book. I know the difference.
Okay.
It's just like having a man when you happy or having that woman there. And I'm like, okay. And then I can look at my life and be like, okay, you did this, you did that. You know, you can look around and see, and then you just happy. If you ask God, He will give you that without nothing being attached to it. Because sometimes we lie. People lie. Not everybody. They said this woman won't make you happy, that man won't, and you gotta be happy within yourself. That's where that came from. But a man and a woman can be happy together. I'm not saying that, but if you could be happy just by yourself. Now, I'm not talking about joy. That's the difference between joy and happiness.
Okay. Well, I do agree.
Can I just say something?
Yeah.
My thought on this is, you can't make somebody happy if you're not happy with yourself.
Okay.
I live by that rule.
Mm.
You cannot make someone happy.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be happy with yourself, and in turn, that spreads the happiness to the other individual, because now you will respect them, you will care about their feelings, and then y'all could be happy together.
Okay.
Hence why I say I'm into the 30s here, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And God forbid if something happens to my husband.
Yeah.
I am not going to remarry. I don't think that there's another person out there who's going to treat me the way that I'm treated, who's going to love me, who's going to stand by me in all my trials and tribulations. That's my difference.
Okay.
That's my opinion.
Now I got a little sidetracked on my question from before, but where I was going with when I was talking about the children dying was that do you see a connection or a correlation between not wanting to have kids again if you lost a child and not wanting to marry again if you lost a spouse? Or do you think that they're different? Because they do involve different circumstances or can involve different circumstances. Like and with a spouse, let's say if your husband or your wife or if a husband or a wife dies, you know, the choice is yours whether to date again, remarry again, or go in that direction. When you lose a child, you may be married or co-parenting when you lose a child. So maybe the other spouse wants you to have another child. You know what I mean? Like we need that because that child was born out of love between you and and I want us to recreate that. And a lot of people would take that into consideration because, it may take there may be counseling that needs to be experienced or a whole lot of other things. But I'm just putting it out there and seeing what y'all think about that, because both of them are extremely devastating things that can happen in the human experience, especially when you're talking about family. But do you see a connection between those two incidents, or do you think that they're separate?
Well, I think they're separate only in the sense that you can't love your husband the way you love your child, nor can you love your wife the way you love your child. There's a different kind of love between a parent and a child and a husband and a wife. They are similar, but it's not the same. Does that make sense? Am I making sense?
No, that makes sense. I have something to say about that when you're done too. But yeah, no, it makes sense.
I mean, go ahead with your rebuttal because I know you're coming with one. But
no, I'm not. I had a story, not a rebuttal. No rebuttal, because I don't think that there are any right or wrong answers with this. It's a situation. No. You know what I mean? Dealing with your emotions. But exactly. Losing a child within a marriage can ruin. It has ruined marriages.
Yes, it has.
Spouses have never recovered from that shit. Both of them experiencing depression. And it man, it has taken some marriages under. Now imagine being happily married, or at least in good standing in your marriage, until you lose a child, and then all of a sudden, your marriage starts really suffering, and y'all wind up divorcing, separating, and all of that, and y'all don't even hate each other. It was just that y'all went through something that y'all just couldn't get on the same page about, and it crippled. It crippled the marriage beyond repair. So,
yes, and I've seen it happen. A lot of women will tell you that a divorce is like a death.
Yeah.
Especially if you really, really love that person and the circumstances that brought about that divorce.
Yeah.
But even still, it doesn't equate to the loss of a child.
Okay.
And again, most men that I know, they are very into their children. And if they were to lose a child, they may not want to have another child because the fear is there. What if?
Mm-hmm.
I can't go through this again. Just like my girlfriend was. and she lived the rest of her life. That was her only child. She lived the rest of her life, and people would say, older people in the family, well, you're still young, you might get married again, or because it tore her marriage apart because her husband couldn't understand her grief.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying?
I do.
That tore the marriage apart. So now you're compounding this with, I've lost my child, I lost my husband, and she started honestly feeling, what do I have to live for? And she had spoke those words to us.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So it was devastating. However, you got strong people and you have weak people. My strengths might be one thing, but my weaknesses could overpower my strength.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm not going to act like I'm strong in certain areas, but when it comes to like my relationship with my mate or family or basically with my mate, I am so weak, and I'm not going to sit up there. I'm one may hear me roar. No, I hurt. I hurt because it's a particular type of person that I know that I'm worthy of. That I want to be in my life. I don't want just anything. I'm looking at
they say women know thy worth.
Yes.
That's why they say women know thy worth. Don't serve it.
I have to pray all the time for strength because I am weak in that area because I'm not bisexual. I'm straight. I do not want another woman. I want the man that God has for me, and I want His will to be done. And I'm weak in that area. I'm not going to sit up there and put it on for y'all like, oh, this is, I can wear my sleeve on my shoulders. I have everything, but I don't have that in the physical. I have it in the spiritual, but they haven't manifested in the physical yet. And I get tired sometimes. I get tired. I get frustrated. I get angry at God. I get angry at Him. I get mad at the man, but I have to wait. I don't want anything in my life, and I had it in my life, and He failed me. And it's like if I had that in my life, I could get it again, and I am spoiled to what I'm used to. I don't want just anything in my life.
No, I can understand that. What about what we was talking about earlier with the losing the child thing? Do you have anything to add about that?
I can't say that because I can't say nothing because I never experienced that, so I don't want to speak on that.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't want to speak on it because I can't tell somebody something that I never experienced, so I don't know.
Well, okay. I mean, if that's your choice, that's your choice. But it doesn't mean that you don't have an opinion on it. But
I do know that I can speak on it for my cousin where, everything's supposed to go in divine order, but sometimes it doesn't go in divine order. I can imagine it being hurtful for your child going before you, especially the way the child goes before you. I wouldn't want that to happen not on my worst enemy.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's, but I've never experienced none of that. And to be truthful, I thought I had made it through childbearing, but for what it seems like, I'm seeing scary stuff like women having babies at 58. I thought I was safe, but I guess I'm not.
I wouldn't worry too much. But my cousin. Okay, so when she was younger, she had a baby. She had a baby with this dude. And the baby was killed by the dude by mistake. Like rolled over on the baby and yeah, some crazy shit like that. And the baby didn't make it. It didn't die immediately. But it like kind of succumbed to the injuries or whatever. And then, they did an investigation and all of that. And they found out that there was no intentional foul play involved.
Mm-hmm.
And they weren't married. They weren't married. Her and the dude weren't married. They went right back in and had another baby. Now, my family was looking we looking at this whole situation mad sideways, like, you know what I mean? Because regardless of what the law said, we was looking like, you know what I mean? What is this shit? Don't nobody make those kind of mistakes with they baby, but some people do, whatever. But it still warrants an investigation. But when she went and had another baby, and you know she chilling, proud as a peacock with the new baby, and we all like,
that is so. Yeah, that is so scary because with both of my little cousins, when I used to keep them, they used to lay in the bed with me. And I have heard situations where you could fall asleep and roll over the baby. And I thank God that I never experienced that because I would have been so tore up by that.
yeah, yeah, but well, you know, there are certain things that you can do to prevent that. Like these mothers nowadays always sleep with the baby in their bed. You know, back in the day they used to use cribs, bassinets, and shit like that. Now, you know, I don't look. Doctors and everybody, health professionals always tell you, don't sleep with the baby. People don't be listening. Like, no, I need my baby right here. And blah. Like, all right, well, sometimes these are the things that can happen. You know what I mean? It was messy.
In my day, you was rich if you had a crib or a bassinet. They used to put our little butts in a dresser drawer and pad it up, okay?
Well, I bet you didn't get rolled on, though. Yeah.
Sure did.
Whether it was a real crib or a makeshift crib, what we didn't do a lot back in the day was have the kids in the bed with us. There was a separation of child and state.
I had the kid with me. I had the kid with me, and I'm just glad that I didn't roll over and squish them or whatever. But both children were with me and fine to this day. And the oldest one, she remembers that. She's off doing a good thing and she's living her best life. But that is something that kind of like convicted me a little bit. But I didn't have no bassinet and I ain't had no crib, so scary.
As black folks, we make do with what we got.
Facts. But that in that situation, they made the conscious decision to go ahead and have another child, and it wasn't like that was the only child that they had. Well, that might have been the only child they had together. But there were other children. That wasn't my cousin's first child. She had about 3, maybe 4. I ain't gonna lie. I think she had like 4 or 5. This might have been the 6th one. So what?
But maybe she enjoyed being a mother.
Hey, listen. One thing about cousins is you don't never know what a cousin is thinking. You know what I mean?
You don't know what your sister
cousins. Listen, cousins got their, but you can gauge your brother or sister a little bit better than a cousin. A cousin, you be like, all right, yeah, well, like there are only so many ways that you can be brother and sister. There are a whole lot of different ways to be a cousin. You can pull a cousin out of a hat. Like, oh damn, I got a rabbit and a cousin. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. All right, but yeah.
I really think that in my situation, for me, I don't think there's anybody else that I want to be married to.
Yeah, I understand that.
Me.
Mm-hmm. I understand.
Yeah.
I think you're a strong person to get married again. I said that I wouldn't do it 3 times, but people that give love a second and a third time and all that, I was against it. I was still against a little bit. That shows strength. That is strength because heartbroken ain't no joke. Being heartbroken ain't no joke. But I commend people that choose to give love again, shot again.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not a joke,
I'm going to go because I'm going to do some things, but I'm still going to be listening. Speak
Okay.
to you later, my brother.
All right. Have a good one. Go ahead. Finish what you were saying.
Yeah, I'm just saying, it takes real. I didn't even look at. I'm looking at it different now. It's like that's real strength because I just be want to give up, wait no bad, and I ain't even married. I be want to say forget love, forget relationships, but if you could marry again and it's right in front of you and you want to do it again and you still believe in love, go right ahead.
Mm.
That's real strength. That's what that is. I'm learning new. We learn something new every
I
day.
know. I know. My pop, he got married 3 times,
Mhm.
and it is what it is. But I don't think, that was for different reasons than
Mhm.
your average person, you know. But
Yeah.
but the bottom line is, he didn't believe in not having somebody, and a lot of people don't, but some people do. Some people believe in the one was the one. You know what I mean? Like, that was it. Everything is getting shut down now. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks or whatever. And I respect it. I just think I think that is conversation worthy. And I have questions about how it plays out. Oh,
Yeah.
hold on a second.
You have a call from
Caller with the last number 7797. Whoever you are, welcome to the Urban Therapy with Sun show.
What's going on, brother?
Oh shit, Troy, what's going on? What's up, man?
You just knew you wasn't going to hear from me today. You just knew.
I
This motherfucker ain't calling it a day. I know he ain't gonna call it a day. He ain't gonna call it a day. There's no way you're getting away from me, my brother. I love you too much, man. You're my family.
That's what's up, man. What's good?
What's going on, man? Hope everybody in the live stream, all my brothers and sisters and all that good stuff. I hope everybody enjoying their Saturday. Everybody is having a good day. I wanted to elaborate on the situation from everything I was hearing. I thought I let my opening acts call in before you let the let the main attraction come in. I'm doing my Maxwell right now.
Okay. All right. So the opening acts was shut down. All right. You can come in the headline. You know what I mean? But
I'm in line right now.
what do you have to
So,
what do you have to add to this topic?
Okay, speak on the death of a child. I've never lost a child, and I think that would be debilitating. But I did lose a great niece, and
Okay.
that situation took a toll on me because I was the one that had to find the funeral home. I'm the one that had to help my niece and her boyfriend at the time because she was a twin. Her name was Noelle. She was a twin, and she passed away from SIDS.
Okay.
So, it was very, to see a baby. She was 6 months, and to see a baby lying there, you would think that she's sleeping, but you do know that she's gone. Her spirit is gone.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she's gone, but the spirit lives on, through God and Christ. But, it's debilitating. It takes a toll. My niece went on, and she did go on to have more children, but, you always remember the one that you lost. You always remember the one that you lost. You know what I'm saying? It took a toll on my mom for a while, but my mom is deep in the church.
Wait. Let me get you straight. We only talking about the decision to not get married again because of a death or a divorce, or the decision not to have a child because of a death. Yeah. I just want to make sure you understand what we're talking about. The show is called My Mom or My Dad never remarried. Only
You
through
know, so
only through the kids thing in there as a as a bonus.
I just was just elaborating on that part right there.
Mm-hmm.
But my mom and dad, my mom, my mom, by the time I was born.
Hold on. Before you do that, you was talking about your great niece. Did your cousin? I mean, well, yeah. Did your niece?
With my niece.
Yeah. Did your niece have another child after that?
Yes, she did.
Okay.
She did.
Okay. All right.
As a matter of fact, she done had what? Let me see. 1, 2. She had 4 kids after that.
Okay. So what was the niece that you lost? Was that one of her early? Was she young when that happened?
Yeah, she was young when that happened, and this was a twin.
Okay. So
she had a twin. She had a boy and a girl twin.
So you know how devastating that would have been. I mean, that how devastating it was. Now, what if your niece would have decided, you know what? I don't care if I'm only 22. I'm not having no more kids. That's it. You know what I mean? Shoot. Yeah. What do you what would have been your thoughts on that? How do you think that you would have handled it, or how do you think your family would have handled a situation like that?
I think that it would have been like, I always believe this. It's her decision to do that. But at the end of the day, I think my family would have just been like, okay, that's what she chooses not to do. And they would have understood why, though. They would have understood that, considering she doesn't want that fear in her life anymore. Because, I mean, even with my children, even with my children and my grandchildren, when I'm watching them and I'm looking at them, when I'm seeing them sleep, I always look at them. I even go over there and film them to make sure they breathe, because it makes you nervous. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because when that situation happens, you always want to make sure that you're on your P's and Q's. And I've slept with my children in the bed before, but I'm not that hard of a sleep aware, though. I'm rolling over. I'm not restless like that. I'm aware of my surroundings when I'm asleep. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when I was in the bed with my wife and she woke up, I would wake up. You know what I mean? So it's not like I'm a hard sleep like that. So I always had that type of, I always knew that my child was right beside me, because I would hold them so close to me that I would make sure that they were secure, but, at the end of the day, that they could take, I mean, I can't imagine. Like, when I went to the comedy show a couple of nights ago, when I went to go do some comedy at the bar, I was sitting here and I seen my boy and his wife was there, and I was talking to them, and they was like, one of their sons got killed maybe 2 years ago, and they were just out, drinking because it was that anniversary of when that happened, and I was like, and then I can just see the pain that they still feeling from that. You know what I mean? I don't care if you're 100. I mean, newborn or 100. You still gonna feel that pain of losing a child. You still gonna feel that pain.
Definitely.
Because at the end of the day, we always believe that that nobody is supposed. Your child is supposed to. You're supposed to go before your child.
Cycle of life, right?
The
older's supposed to make room for the young.
Say that again.
The older's supposed to make room for the young. The young ain't supposed to clear out room and leave the. You understand what I'm saying? So yeah.
Yeah, like I lost a person that was like a brother to me, and his name was John Preston. I think I told you about this before, but I killed over a basketball game. Mm-hmm. And to this day, I still feel that it's not I don't feel no survivor's remorse, but I feel the fact that I'm hurting for him because he didn't experience things that I experienced, and his mom and his dad and his family didn't experience what I experienced. He didn't experience having kids or being married or enjoying life. He didn't experience going to the NBA because he was on the verge of getting drafted. He was on the verge of playing ball in the NBA. Mm-hmm. So he didn't get them opportunities or experience them life. So every time I think of him, I feel that tear get ready to come down my face because when a person that you you feel somewhat upset that he didn't experience that life.
Right.
You know. So I mean, I still feel that pain.
Yeah.
I mean, you know how I feel because you lost your best friend last year.
Yeah.
And even though you might have experienced some of them things, the loss is just intense.
Well, I mean, he was 55. You know what I mean? And his parents had already passed. So, the cycle of life was intact. Except for no, it was. The cycle of life was intact because his parents died before any of his siblings died. And now he's gone. But when we talk about my mom or my dad never remarried. When you talk about somebody who was married, maybe they were married for a long time, maybe they were married only for a long time, like 5-10 years or whatever. And when you think about somebody who still has a lot left in the tank, and because they have lost somebody during marriage or during marriage, because that's what we're talking about. That's
in that situation right there about my mom and dad never remarried. I don't remember my mom and dad being together. So my middle brother, who's a pastor now, always told me that my dad was abusive to my mom. So that right there had put a dark spot on me and my dad relationship, considering the fact that, like I told you before, and I put on a live stream, that my dad wasn't there like that because of the relationship me and his father had.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, even if we were dug in like that, we would never be dug in like that. And I would even have informed them that if I ever know, I wish I was old enough to see you put your hands on my mom, because I would have fucked you up. I really would have fucked my dad up if I was old enough to really not see that. One thing I don't think any man should put their hand on a woman, let alone a person's mother. I don't care if you married or not. You don't own my mother. You don't put your hand on my mom. You know what I'm saying?
Oh.
And at the end of the day, I would have never condoned that. So when my mom moved on, I don't know if she just attracted these men, but she was in another relationship with a man abuse. I mean, I seen a man take my mom out at gunpoint at one point, and the cops came, and I told them, shit. I let them know what was going on and everything like that. And then when she rekindled that, when I became grown, I told them about it. So and I told them I would fucking kill him, him and his family.
Okay, but as far as marriage is concerned,
the thing about that is, I would never. I know. I'm not trying to get off topic because I know you like to stay on topic. But no, my mom never remarried. She had. She said that she would never. The love of her life was my brother, my middle brother, the one that's the pastor. The love of her life was his father. Because she told me that one time. She said that, I would never find the love that I ever had, like I had with your brother, Peanut, father. She really loved him.
Okay, but did she marry him?
No, she didn't have enough time to marry. He got murdered.
Okay.
He got murdered before that can even happen. So I mean, at the end of the day, he couldn't. She couldn't really take that to the next level.
Okay, now, but your mom was married to your dad. No,
she was married to my older sibling's father.
Okay,
that's why that's where I get the last name from.
Okay, do you think that her marriage to him, what happened to him?
Well, what happened to him was she wound up she never divorced him, but they separated.
Okay.
Back in the day, they didn't divorce; they just broke up.
Okay. No, I mean I know. I'm well aware of that. I'm just asking about the dynamics because I'm trying to see if her whatever her decisions were not to remarry. You know what I mean? Because
I think her decision not to remarry was the fact that she kept finding trash, and she kept finding trash, and when she didn't find no trash, she said, "No, I'm just not going to play with it." And towards the end of before she passed away, for years and years, her love was God. Her man was God.
Amen.
That was her man. Yeah. That man, her man was God. She woke up through God. She slept through God. You come in her room, that's all she looked at was you know, gospel channel. She stayed deep in the prayer. She, you know, that was her man. You know, and I always looked at her. I asked her like, Mom, you don't never feel the need of being around a significant other? She's like, no, I'm content with my life where I'm at right now with that, because I don't want that pain that I've had throughout my life. You know, my mom, like I said, she's always found a knack of dealing with nothing ass niggas. And I don't use the word nigga all willy-nilly like that, but these was nothing ass niggas. You know, there was maybe one that I could sit back and say that I wish that she had married him. You know, but I don't know the circumstances behind that. Because, you know, mom and them always covered up certain things. They won't let you see everything. They just let you see the bare minimum. Mm-hmm. You know.
Okay. But without her, okay. All right. Now I've known scenarios in which, like, somebody might have been separated from somebody that they were married to for years and years and years. But as soon as they met that person where they felt like it was going towards the whole marriage thing, then they were quick to go ahead and get that divorce and get things going in the right direction. And I've also seen where they've had problems getting a divorce because maybe the other person didn't want to comply and they didn't have property or whatever to have to divvy up or whatever. So it wasn't a suing for divorce type of situation, but it was a separation. And I've seen it where there were religious complications because maybe they were Catholic and, you know, they thought that they were going to burn in hell for all eternity if they got divorced because they didn't honor their original vows or whatever. You know how Catholics play. But yeah, regardless of what the situation is, when you decide to not get married again, sometimes it's a conscious decision and sometimes it's it just didn't work out that way type of decision. You know, one thing I see that your mom didn't stop dating. She still gave herself a chance. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, but I've known people who did not. You know, they shut it down, all the way down. You know, I think we all probably have a grandmother somewhere out there that was like that. You know what I mean? Like, Granny, like, but damn, even Medea had somebody.
You a fool.
Just saying.
Mama, she got married and divorced, and she always kept her man. I ain't cut like that.
You know, but the thing about it is that, like, right now, and I can even speak on my journey, you know, I'm going through a separation, and no matter how much you want to try to fix the separation, you know, because you know me, I honor my marriage, you know, and I honor the person that I am is I never got married to get a divorce, you know, and I think that I never would think that love don't die down like that, and love don't throw. But you know, I'm willing to accept everything, flaws and all of a person. But when another person can't accept your flaws, then that's a double standard to me. I think that you should never sit back and say, "Well, you did this, you did that," but you don't look yourself in the mirror and realize what the fuck you did.
Yeah.
What did you do? I came up with this analogy yesterday. I understand how a person can create a fire, and then when you add to the fire, you the only one that got burnt in that fire. And that person, you the only one that got burnt out the fire that person created. You know, you say what you say out your mouth, you spit them flames, and then when the other person spits the reality flames, you spitting your thoughts, how you feel. That's not real. That's not the reality. That's not the truth. But when that person spits the truth, that person gets burnt. And then you turn back around, it's to the point where, you know, you feel dead inside. When you're going through a divorce, you can't see other people happy. You don't want to see other people happy. It hurts. It hurts. It's a death. Somebody said it earlier. It's a death.
It can be.
It's a death inside the inside of your body, the inside of your bowels, your heart, your mind. Parts of you are dying, and you want to shake every inch of it. You want to go out and meet somebody else, but you can't do that because inside of you, you're like, I'm not going to do that. Because see, the thing about it is that especially when you still have some type of love for that person, I'll be damned if I go out here and meet another female, right? And I still got love for that person, and me and the person that I still got love for get back together, and I gotta break somebody's heart, and then they in the same predicament I was in. That's not right towards that person. So you fall back until you can deal with everything that you're dealing with. You know, so whether you're alive, and just you just sat up here and said something earlier that resonated so much with me. You said it can be two people in the casket and you still be alive.
Well, yeah.
And that's the truth.
But here's the thing. When we talking about the decision never to remarry, you have to be unmarried or widowed in order to make the decision about whether to remarry again.
If I get a divorce, I don't know. I'm sorry for cutting in right now, but I'm gonna let you speak. Just give me 1 second, and I mean 1 second, not longer. If I get divorced,
time's up.
It depends on how the person is. Because my thing is, I would never remarry again.
Right, but you're not. But you're still married.
No, I'm saying if I got a divorce.
Yeah, but you can't say that.
I'm still.
You can't say that until you actually get to that point. I understand what you're saying.
I already put that in my head, son.
Okay.
I already put that in my head, son.
So have you ever put anything in your head and had to change?
About what? About the marriage?
About anything?
I've been putting in my head a lot of things because you know when you're in your own space, that's the only thing you get.
Yes or no? Yes or no? Goddamn. Yes or no? Have you ever put something in your head and it was standing on it, and because you learned new information or because situations or circumstances changed, you had to change your answer? Yes or no? No. I would never get remarried again. A part of me said to myself, I said, if I got a divorce, I would be a whore. Oh, definitely. I think I would be a whore. I wouldn't have I would have a line. So okay, let's go with that. Even though this is so far away from what this is called, my mom and my dad never remarried. Just remember that. My mom or my dad never remarried. Just remember that's the topic. But let's just say, since you claim that if you divorce, then you will become a whore, right? You don't think that in the commission of you becoming a whore, you might like one of those women that you were whoring with? You don't think that one of them would affect you in such a way that might make you want to reconsider your decisions or change your mind about anything?
Yeah, well, that's the whole thing about it, son. The whole thing about it is though, I would have to go through therapy, and I would have to reassess myself before I even made that decision to allow somebody in my heart again.
Okay. But what I'm saying is, the only thing I'm saying, I would go in
with an open mind. Yes, I do. Yes, somebody else can come along.
It's possible. It's possible. It's not like you're contemplating that, but it's possible. People change people. People change minds. People change situations. People change dynamics. So you never really know. But what we do know is that when we're talking about our parents who never remarried, nobody did change their mind. Nobody did change their circumstances. They went on, whether they still here or whether they passed on, they made the decision never to remarry. It is what it is. Some of them made the decision without dating again, and some of them made the decision, they may have dated, but they did not tie the knot again. And some of them have been so tragic that they were dating somebody maybe in hopes or on their way to marrying them, and they passed on too. So you lose your spouse, and then you lose your fiance or somebody. So you may have still made it through through that fire, but you may have had circumstances that just didn't allow you to remarry. But you would have, but it just wasn't in the cards. You can call it divine intervention. You can call it whatever you want. But, you know.
Well, I guess I ain't got to ask you that question because you don't answer it for me, so I'm not going to ask the question.
All right.
Yeah, but I do, you know, I can understand everything that you're saying. Yes, another person could come along down the line that can grip you, you know, and they can grip your heart and turn that heart back to make your heart beat a little bit better than, you know. But at the end of the day, once you divorce and once you leave that relationship, there's a lot of red flags that you walk around with now. Yeah. And now, as soon as you get into that next relationship, you try your best not to carry what you went through in the past in that, but still, you always want to sit back and say, as soon as you see a red flag, you want to put that in your subconscious. Yeah, I've been through this shit before. I'm not trying to go through this. And you know, and every time you see a red flag, you gonna put it up, and then at the end of the day, you gonna say, you know what, I don't think this is gonna work.
Okay.
You know,
all right.
I mean,
hold on. This is what we got to do. We got other callers that want to call in. So I need.
I sit up and listen to the TV. Everybody have a nice weekend.
All right. You have
TV.
You have a good one. Thanks for calling in. I appreciate
you. Have a good one.
Okay. Bye-bye.
All right. Yeah, unfortunately, y'all, we can only have two people on the line at once. Everybody else hears the phone ring, but it doesn't ring on this end. It won't even let you. I think that's a little odd because on a regular landline, when you if you're talking on a three-way, you still can get another call. You know, you just can't click them in. You know what I'm saying? But you can answer on the call waiting side of things. But yeah.
I don't want to apologize. I don't want you to. I try my best to stay on topic. You know, so you know, sometimes when I do speak, it takes me to it takes me to another topic, so I can just add more to the topic that we're talking about. So.
Okay. Well, yeah, like you know what we was talking about in the beginning of the show, and I don't know if you were here, but we were talking about how hard it is to watch your parents go through their trials and tribulations. You know, when you growing up and you're young in your emotions, and you're trying to understand, you may be trying to process your own emotions, and then you're watching your mom. One of the hardest things to do is to watch your mom struggle in relationships. That shit is hard. It's hard as shit.
Most definitely.
You know what I mean? And that's whether she's struggling with your dad, and that's whether your dad is married to her or not. But it's hard to watch. It's hard for a young man. It's hard for a lot of people. Hold on a second.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on a minute.
You have a call from.
Okay. Caller with the last number is 4828. But yeah, like I was saying, it's hard on the child because you're young in your emotional journey. So, you know, when you're young, you think that it's possible for you to just cut people off or stop doing something because you haven't dove into that pool yet. You know what I mean? You know how easy it is for a person that's not on drugs to suggest that somebody just stop using drugs. You understand what I mean? You know, somebody who doesn't drink to just suggest that somebody stop drinking. Somebody who doesn't smoke to suggest that somebody just stop smoking. But once they start drinking, smoking, or using themselves, they see like, well, yeah, and you may not be addicted, but you may be in that habit or that lifestyle or in that way, you know, whereas it takes a little bit more than just flipping the switch. But from the outside in, you may really question why your parents didn't marry again. Like, don't you want to be happy? Don't you know, like, such and such. Spouses can pass away whether they treat you well or not.
Mm-hmm.
So you could easily find yourself or find your parents boo-hooing over somebody who was whooping their ass or killing them softly.
Right.
And I don't mean in a good way. Somebody that's physically abusive is not always worse than somebody who is emotionally abusive. So even when you're a child, you might have to watch your parents, and it can be your mom or your dad, watching them get mistreated by somebody, whether it's your mom or your dad, and wanting better for them, and seeing them not want better for themselves, at least from your point of view, because you're looking at it like, well, if you wanted better, then you would do better. In other words, you would make a move instead of just staying in this situation where it's just a treadmill. You using up all this energy and you ain't going nowhere. And the weight that you losing ain't even good weight. But you are building up a lot of stamina for bullshit. That's what that emotional treadmill does. You go on and on and on, building up stamina and endurance for going nowhere and putting up with the bullshit. So watching your parents do that and thinking to yourself, it ain't gonna be like that when I grow up. But you watching your parents.
But see, a lot of people don't understand, and that's why another thing that happens when you just said that is that we call that the trickle down effect, because when you see your mother accept that type of stuff and she goes through that type of stuff, right? It trickles down to you, whether you a daughter or a son, and you think that's how it's supposed to be. So now when you get in a relationship, you follow the same trends. You accept what you shouldn't accept because you seen your mother accept it. You forgive when you shouldn't forgive because you seen your mother forgive. And when you didn't have a man that was deeply embedded in your life to show you what to accept and not to accept, you started accepting the bullshit. You start accepting the verbal abuse. You start accepting the emotional abuse. You start trying to find your way through it. And when you try to find your way through it, you all of a sudden you're an adult. Understand what I'm saying?
Well, yeah. Well, the only thing I was saying was children can't be expected to understand adult situations. They're not there yet. But we do understand results. That's one thing that people of all ages understand. Now, if you're a mature, educated person, and when I say educated, I don't mean that you had to have gone to graduated high school, went to college, got multiple advanced degrees. I mean educated in that you have fucking grasped the concepts that you needed to grasp, and you learned what you needed to learn. So when you have learned the lessons that you need to learn, you can see that, okay, yeah, if you do this, then you get that. So maybe I should avoid that. Or you see when you understand how to not just judge things on the results, because you realize that other things can cause results that were not intended. You know what I mean? Like doing the right things and not getting the right things as a result. Oh, shit. Hold on.
You have a call from.
I'm going to say, no, you can let the other person speak.
I'm sorry. I'm calling with the last numbers 4828. Did I drop you off, or what happened?
No. My phone dropped as I was going up the steps.
Oh, I see. So you did it on purpose. All right, cool. So anyway, welcome to the Urban Therapy with Sun show. What's on your mind this afternoon? What's good?
Well, I've been listening in while I was outside, and it just seems like there's like a lot of negative association to choosing not to get married again. And sometimes it's not even that you were in a bad relationship or the person treated you poorly. Sometimes, let's say
You were married once. It was okay. You know, you guys were young or whatever. You divorced. You married somebody else, and that person was your person. Then they passed away. And now, you know, you're charged with. Do you still believe in love? Sure, you do. But will you find a love like the one that you had that you found the second time? So I know I come from a family where the men usually get married once, that's it. But the women will have been married 2, 3, sometimes 4 times. But once they found their person, they stayed with that person. And unfortunately, a lot of the women in my family outlive the men that they're with. The men pass on, and then they say, I'm not getting married again because I'm not going to find a love like that. Mm-hmm. I'm not, and that's, I know when my ex-husband signed the divorce papers, you know, I was so relieved. I was happy. People were like, oh, I'm so sorry. I know you guys were together like 20 years. I was like, what are you crazy? This is the happiest time of my life. And, you know, Brother Troy, I did want to see other people happy, even though my relationship did not work out. I wanted to be happy, and I wanted everybody around me to be happy. However, I was not open to getting married again because I was like, there's nobody I haven't met anybody who holds marriage as high, in a high regard like I do.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't even going to waste I wasn't going to waste my time with those pipe dreams. I'm not the type of person to be dreaming about the white picket fence anyway. Mm-hmm. Then I met somebody, and the person is fucking awesome, but there's still that. Can this person live up to what I know, you know, a husband should be? If it would have ever go in that direction, and I'm not saying that I'm looking for it to be pushed in that direction, but you know, this would probably be the first time since 2016 that I ever said, well, wait a minute. You know, because this person is so dope. Now, let's say this person and I did get married and something happened to them, I would probably be right along with the rest of the women in my family. Like, nope. Because there's really nobody, married or not, married legally or not, there's nobody who could hold a candle to this person. I can't even imagine. In every single category, I can't even imagine there being anyone else in this entire world. And I'm a person who loves love. So, you know, I don't know that other people realize how hard a decision it is to make the decision not to get married again if you're somebody who believes in love. I don't believe it's an easy decision.
Let me ask you something, because you put a question in my mind. So when a person, let's say a person hasn't been married, or they got married, lost a spouse or divorced, and really didn't want to get married again, right? Mm-hmm. So if in a situation like you're talking about, like you don't know if you would be able to replace who you're dealing with, is that in your mind equivalent in some way that even in an unmarried situation, not dating again or not actively looking for another partner or accepting another partner, is that another way of not getting married again? You think? Okay. What do you think about that, Troy?
Reiterate that statement again.
Now mind. So the Phillies was playing the Nationals, and because nobody hit no Ks, there was no home runs. They said, we gonna play small ball from now on. Don't swing for the fences. So do you think not concentrating on the long ball?
Sure, don't do that.
I'll let him.
Do you think Not concentrating on the long ball is a way of being defiant to the to Major League Baseball.
I'm gonna put it like this, but reiterate that question again, please, caller.
Okay. No. What I asked you was this. What I asked you was this. In a non-married situation, because you can be as close to your lover, your woman or your man. You can be as close as any husband and wife can be, if y'all are close like that. So even if you were unmarried, but because you lost your spouse, maybe in some type of fatal accident or whatever, if you decide that I'm not dating anymore, do you think that that's a way of an unmarried person deciding not to get married again, the same way a person who lost a spouse through a fatality may decide not to get married again?
No, I don't think that is. It's two separate situations. Because one was lost through death and divorce, and the other one was lost the other way. But both of them.
They were both lost by death. Not divorce, not divorce or breaking up. Mm-hmm.
It's still. I don't think that. I think it's one. Both of them are the same. I don't think that anything changes anything. But one thing I just wanted to elaborate on what the caller said is that I agree 1,000% about, because I'm in that same situation of love. When you love, and love is a beautiful thing. Love is a beautiful thing. And what I was saying about, I didn't like seeing, I didn't want to be around nobody happy. A part of it is not that I didn't want them to be happy, it's that I couldn't be happy around other happy people because I was so hurt inside. And part of me still is. You understand what I'm saying? So I can sit back and be congratulatory, I can sit back and walk around happy as hell and smirk, this, that, and other, but when you're in your own space, you hurt inside. So that was me elaborating on what you were saying. But I agree 100% that love is beautiful. Love is, marriage is beautiful. But at the end of the day, when you get hurt through that, whether it's death, like my grandmother, both my grandmother and my grandfather, my grandmother, my grandfather on my father's side. When my grandfather passed away in '85, my grandmother was like a lovebird. Because when a lovebird died, the other lovebird died maybe days later. Because they couldn't live without each other. And that's the same way my grandmother was. My grandmother didn't want to live at all. Didn't want to take her medicine, didn't want to do nothing. She went through surgery, didn't fight, and she passed away. That's how deep embedded that love was. Even with my other grandfather, my grandmother. My grandfather passed away. My grandmother, even though all the kids kept her up, took her to trips and this, that, and the other, part of her didn't want to live. What kept her up was her children, my aunts and my uncle.
Yeah, I understand that.
So the love is so deep that, and then the question that you asked, you said 50 or 60 years worth of marriage. That's a long time. You know what I'm saying? So, when you got that time in, the shit, mine is what? 25 years, 30 years together. So, that's a long time within itself. You know what I mean? So, at the end of the day, when you sit back and you put all that together, when you do make the decision, when God brings you home to glory, or you do make the decision to have a divorce, your whole thought process is in haywire. And you might be happy that, like you said, you were happy about the divorce, because then you can move on and go to the next, move on to in your life and have that next journey. But partially you was like, damn, It's unless that person was just a complete asshole and put you through hell and high water.
You can still
Oh,
love
yeah,
somebody
I've
who
been here
you can love.
before.
You can be totally in love with somebody who's an asshole and put you through hell. Though.
Yeah, just so you know, brother, I have shared on I've called him before, and he really is an asshole. He's an asshole, but I'll love the rest of my life. And that's the way I have to look at it. We have children together, so I'm never gonna not love him because he gave me the greatest gifts of my life. So let me say that. But he's an ass, and he put me through some of the worst things ever that I've shared on the show over the years. I won't repeat today because I've moved past those. I've accepted whatever my part was in it, whatever he did,
And that's the
whatever my response was.
I'm at. That's the part
But that's a good place because that means that you're on the road to healing. And let me just be clear. I'm sorry.
Y'all got
It's
4
not
minutes.
me accepting. It's the other person accepting their plight, their faults.
Okay. Well, but I want to be clear that it wasn't, I wasn't happy about the decision to be divorced. My parents were married for decades, and I wanted that. So having to make that decision to divorce him was, even with all of the ridiculously horrible stuff that he did, and I mean really fucked up stuff. I still tried to make it work. It was an easy decision that wasn't easy, if that makes any sense.
Great one. Yeah.
But then once
great analogy.
but once it was in motion, there was a weight that just left, and then I was happy, and so I found joy in other people's joy, and actually in any situation that brought joy, the smallest little things, and that's what I wanted for myself, and because I love, I was definitely open to being in a relationship, but marriage, like you truly have to be extraordinary, even for me to even look at you in that manner, because I definitely want somebody like my dad, period. And my ex-husband is not that. He's not that. So I won't be making that mistake again. But yeah, to go back to Son's question, I do feel it's equivalent. When you have a significant other and you lose your significant other is your significant other, whether you went to the courthouse or not. They're your significant other in your heart. They're your spiritual spouse. So losing them and then choosing not to date it's like somebody who was married, losing their spouse and choosing not to remarry.
True. We're at the end of the show. We got to go.
Bye.
Man, we ain't going no damn where.
Oh, yeah? According to this,
He about to hang up.
look, according to this volume,
He gonna be like, click.
look, no. I won't click y'all off. I just turn the volume down. Y'all can stay as long as y'all want.
But you have me cracking up because I'm looking at you on the TV talking about we got 4 minutes.
Hey, I did the countdown. We down to 1. And now we down to 10 seconds. All right, let's do these birthday shout outs. Listen.
Well, caller, I just want to thank you for giving me some food for thought because my mind was hungry, so I appreciate that.
No problem. Anytime.
Good looking out, y'all. Appreciate y'all. Appreciate y'all calling in. Everybody.
Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers and the beautiful women on the live stream. Enjoy your day tomorrow. Enjoy your day.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, that's that. Y'all have a great day. All right, peace. Thank you to all the callers who called in today. I appreciate each and every last one of y'all commentary, y'all insight, and your experiences. It was good stuff. When I thought about this topic, I thought this is kind of deep. I ain't really want to go for the I mean, shit, it happens. You know, sometimes we gotta get to the bottom of the ocean, the ocean floor or whatever, and build our way up so we can get to the surface of the water and finally get to the place where we can breathe. Let's do these birthday shout outs. We have some birthday shout outs to do. Some people were born on this glorious May 10th, and they deserve to be acknowledged. So let's go about our business of acknowledging them and making them feel special because they are special, because they are special, because they are S-P-E-C-I-A-L. They get the R-E-S-P-E-C-T. They are S-P-E-C-I-A-L. They get the R-E-S-P-E-C-T. They are S-P-E-C-I-A-L. They get the R-E-S-P-E-C-T. They get number one out the box. My girl used to live right around the corner from the crib. My girl, Shell. Happy birthday to you. She's also a go-getter. And also Erica Bird. Happy birthday to you. And Troy's people, Barbara McNeil. Happy birthday to you. And Jasmine Marie and Latanya Newell. Wanda Tate Sharif. Beatrice O. Gonzalez. Danya Martinez. My girl, Afi Sanders, happy birthday to you. Francine Young, my man from college, Brian Kokla, and last but not least, Steve Del Rey. I want to say happy birthday to all of y'all. And I hope that today finds you all in good health, happiness, mind, body, soul, and spirit. And that goes out to each and every person out there born on this glorious May 10th, anywhere out there in the world, worldwide, internationally, and universally. All of y'all go ahead and turn up. But don't turn up too loud. Just turn up loud enough so everybody can hear you. Rock out, rock on and do the damn, the rock out. Rock on and do the damn, rock out. Rock on and do the damn thing. You do your thing, y'all. Represent the queens and kings. You do your thing, y'all. Represent the queens and kings. Good things happen to those who wait. Great things happen to those who grind, and anything can happen to those who go for theirs. So go hard, go for yours, and remember, hey, yo, hold on, let me see something here. Wait. John B. asks, why is YouTube Live just absolutely effing mental? TK Wright wants the poll results. We're going to do that. Now we up to what? 21 votes. All right. But like I said, go hard, go for yours. And remember, listen, one thing about our parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, great aunts, uncles, whatever, you know, they live their lives in the way that they see fit. When it comes to relationships, marriages, building families, you know, we didn't really talk about that as much. One of the reasons that a lot of people decide never to ever get married again is because when you get older, especially when you're middle aged, you are often past childbearing years and family building years. And many people believe that getting married is for the reason of building a family. Now, if you can't build a family, then you can combine a family, which is still a way of building a family. And some people feel like if they can't contribute to the building of a new family or connecting with an existing family, they don't feel like getting married again is necessary or even a possibility. Starting all over can be very, very hard for a lot of people. On the smallest level, like some people can get stressed out when it comes to just starting a new job, and some people can get stressed out when it comes to building a new life or starting a new life, which getting a new job or getting married or having a child or whatever, all of those things are part of the building blocks necessary to build a new life for yourself. The experiences that you have are never going to remain the same. You're never going to be able to calculate exactly what's going to happen the next day based off of what happened yesterday or the past day or even today. So wow, damn, Tori 2200 said, One of my best friends got married 3 times to the same woman. Now, I know people who definitely got married twice. I have a few people in my family who have done that. But 3 times, like, yo, man, just separate for a while. You know what I'm saying? Do the leave it to Beaver thing or Dick Van Dyke. Just sleep in separate beds. Don't waste your time getting divorced. You know what I mean? And don't nobody want to keep buying toasters and food processors and forming grills for you for the same goddamn person. Ain't nobody buying you another microwave, and you done got 3 of them. You done got 3 microwaves out of me and two KitchenAid mixers. Hell no. Anyway, yeah, the decision of whether to get married again can combine a whole lot of factors. Some we may be aware of from our observation, and some of them we might not know what's going on. The decision to get married again is yours. The decision of somebody else to get married again is theirs. Do you respect it? One thing about our parents and grandparents' decision never to marry again or even to date again is normally something that we respected. Even if we didn't agree with it for ourselves, we respected it for them. Will your children be in the position to respect the decisions that you make as it pertains to marriage or dating or love or cohabitation or whatever? Stay tuned. We will all see. All you got to do to see how life is going to go is keep living. Okay. All right, cool. Let's do these poll results and then we going to get on this route. The question, with 21 votes in so far, if your spouse passed away after you were 60 years old, would you date or get married again? 33% said yes, if I met someone special. 24% said no, why get married again? 24% says I would date but not marry. Remember, this is all determined after you are 60 years old. So you in your twilight years. Not saying you're gonna die tomorrow, but you ain't exactly. Yeah, I mean, 19% says I believe in marriage. Period. In other words, I'm not dying without being hitched up to somebody gonna marry me, or I'm gonna marry somebody. All right. Well, cool. Like I said, it's a personal thing, but will you be respected by those, or do you even give a shit? I understand when you don't give a shit about what somebody else thinks about your decisions, and I understand when you do. Peace to all my day ones, my everydays, and my brand news. I love y'all to death. Resuscitate y'all and love y'all right back to life. We will be back tomorrow at 1:30. I think tomorrow is Mother's Day. We gonna see about it. Be about it. Get involved. These puzzle pieces right now we gonna solve. But the likeliest of scenarios, we will. We be back. I just gotta get my shit together, but anyway, so. Make sure y'all hit the like button. Just do me that one little solid. Hit the like button, share the show, subscribe to the channel. If you don't want to subscribe to the channel, if you don't want to share the show, I understand. But you can hit the like button. They ain't gonna do nothing. I mean, show a little love. All right. Peace, y'all. Y'all have a good day. Peace.